everyone knows you as the person who shows up, the one who remembers, the one who checks in first, who makes sure everyone is okay, who holds the thing together when it starts to come apart. That's the version people see. Then there's the version that drives home alone and doesn't know how to want anything. I'm Sarah, and I want to talk about why those two people are the same person. You answer the text, you show up to the thing even when you're tired. You notice when someone seems off before they say a word. And you adjust, you soften, you make room. You are, by almost every measure, a genuinely good person to have around. And underneath that, there's something you've probably never said out loud. You're not sure people would stay if you stopped. Not because you believe they're bad people, but because being needed is the thing you know how to do. It's the role you found, and you've gotten very good at it. And the thought of setting it down, even briefly, feels less like rest and more like a gamble you're not sure you'd win. So you keep going. You make yourself useful before anyone has a chance to decide whether they want you around for any other reason. That's not a personality flaw. It is a strategy. A very old one, built at a time when it genuinely worked, when being useful was the closest thing you had to a guarantee. The fact that you're still running it isn't a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that something taught you this, and that lesson stuck. Here's what's happening underneath the giving. Picture the way a business keeps its books. Every transaction gets recorded. What comes in, what goes out, what gets held in reserve for a risk that hasn't arrived yet. A well-run business draws on its reserves when it needs to. It takes in and it gives out, and the balance sheet reflects both. Now picture a business that learned, early, that drawing on its own reserves was the thing that made investors leave. So it stopped. It kept giving, kept producing, kept generating value for everyone around it. And quietly stopped counting itself as a line item at all. That's what your nervous system learned to do. When you give to someone, something in you registers. They need me. And that registration does something specific. Doesn't feel like love, exactly, though it can look like love from the outside. And feels like relief. Like a threat that was building has been managed. You showed up, you were useful, you secured your position for another day. Your brain has indexed helpfulness as safety. Not metaphorically, structurally. The neural pathway that fires when you're needed is the same one that tracks belonging. So giving to others doesn't feel optional, it feels like the floor. And your own needs, your brain has learned to flag those differently. Not as urgent, not as worth the cost of asking. Because somewhere in the accounting, asking for something started to feel like the kind of withdrawal that could make the whole account run dry. This didn't start as a coping strategy. It started as observation. At some point, probably when you were young enough that you weren't even consciously choosing anything, you noticed something about the people around you. Maybe their emotional state was fragile, and your presence when you were helpful was different from your presence when you were a burden. Maybe love in your home came through in what people did for each other, not in what they said, and you learned to speak that language because it was the only one available. Maybe someone needed you, and being needed felt like the closest thing to being wanted you'd found. Whatever the specific shape of it, your nervous system learned one thing clearly. I am safest when I am useful, not consciously, not as a decision you made. As a calibration, your body ran, over and over, until it stopped feeling like a strategy and started feeling like who you are. The paradox you've been living inside is this. The more you give, the more evidence you have that people value you, and the less you know whether any of them would stay for you specifically, or whether they're staying for what you provide. The giving that was supposed to make you feel secure keeps producing a question you can't quite answer. You became indispensable, and indispensable is its own kind of loneliness, because you can't ever fully trust that what people feel for you is separate from what you do for them. Here's what I want you to sit with for a moment. Every time you needed something and talked yourself out of asking, you made a decision. Not a conscious one, but a decision all the same, that your need wasn't worth the risk of putting it in the room, that you couldn't be sure it would be met, or that asking might shift something, and so it was safer to close the tab and open someone else's instead. Do you have any idea how many times you've done that? How many things you quietly needed and quietly didn't ask for, because at some point you concluded that needing things was the variable you had the most control over? That is the thing worth grieving, not the giving. The giving came from something real. but the need you dismissed before it even became a question, over and over for years. That deserved better than what you gave it. You learned to make yourself indispensable because you didn't have enough evidence yet that you were simply wanted. That's not a character flaw. That's a child doing the math with the numbers they had. You've been wanted this whole time in ways that had nothing to do with your usefulness. You just didn't have a way to trust it yet. If any of this landed somewhere specific for you, tell me in the comments. What's the thing you haven't let yourself need? And if this video found you at the right time, sharing it is the kindest thing you can do. Someone in your life needs this one. Next video, I want to talk about something that lives right next to this. What happens when you've spent so long taking care of everyone else that you've actually lost the thread of what you want for yourself? That one is coming soon.